All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for Missouri Humanities Virtual Capacity Building Workshop on Event Planning. Today's presentation is being presented by Dr. Ashley Allen Brown, and will cover everything from creating event timelines to managing vendors and budgets. Learn valuable strategies for coordinating successful events and gain a better understanding of the intricacies involved in event planning. Dr. Alan Brown is a regional economic and community development specialist for MU Extension and has nearly 3 decades experience in adult education, event planning for grassroots, educational, special interests, and nonprofit fundraising. And so I will pass it over to Dr. Alan Brown.
Thank you, Nick. I'll go ahead and get my screen teed up here so I don't have any glitches. But I want to thank you so much for having me today. Let's see. Okay, let's make sure that works. I'm here because of course, Nick Lopez, but also because of my wonderful colleague, Tish Johnson, who suggested that I throw my hat in the ring to help teach in these capacity building workshops. And so today, we are going to talk about successful event planning. And this is, in my opinion, your ticket to key strategies for planning memorable and effective events. The learning objective is just basically to learn the planning process for creating a great event. Event planning is exhilarating, it's confounding, it's frustrating, but it's really rewarding. And it can do a lot for you and your organization if it's done well. All right, so what is event planning? Event planning is essential for an organization's success and sustainability. First, a well-executed event can serve as a powerful marketing tool. It can create opportunities to showcase your organization, its mission, its products, the people that it serves, successes you've had to a targeted audience. Let me see, I think we have somebody in the chat. I'm hoping that everybody can hear me. Okay, great. I wanted to make sure everybody could hear me. I just went to the wrong thing. Let's go again. All right. Okay. A memorable event boosts brand awareness and it fosters lasting loyalty among your attendees. Secondly, events facilitate valuable networking and relationship building. They're really good for that. They connect industry leaders, stakeholders, and clients, leading to collaborations and partnerships that drive growth and open new opportunities for your organization to shine. I apologize. The bottom part where I'm going forward is really not visible to me, so I'm having to look for it, and I'm blind anyway. So, all right. So, moreover, an event can enhance your team morale and foster a sense of community within your organization. It celebrates achievements and engages employees through corporate gatherings, and it positively impacts productivity and retention. I mean, not everybody likes to be the center of attention, but everyone likes to have recognition, right? So a special event that celebrates the achievement of your organization can really boost morale, and it can also help with employee retention. Financially, effective event planning can yield significant returns by generating revenue through ticket sales and sponsorships. It can attract media coverage, and it'll enhance the visibility and reputation of your organization. Events also provide real-time feedback, allowing organizations to gain crucial insights into customer preferences and market trends, facilitating informed decision-making. What's great is that when you get feedback from an event, you know right away whether or not it worked, right? At an event, someone will come up and tell you something and you're like, oh boy, okay, great. Either good or bad, whatever it is, and it's great to get feedback. Lastly, hosting impactful events positions the organization as an industry authority. It builds trust and creates a competitive advantage. In summary, strategic planning for events is crucial for achieving organizational goals, strengthening relationships, boosting morale, and generating revenue, and enhancing brand perception and driving sustained success. It can also help you grow your garden and make sure that people know what your organization does and increase your impact. All right, So this is going to sound really simple, and I'm going to spend a lot of time in certain components of this, but there are only three really critical components to strategic event planning, and they are the planning and design of the event, the coordination of the event, and the execution of the event. Let's start with the planning and design. All right. I'm going to tell you this from my personal perspective. The planning and design process, the initial stage, is the most critical piece. The planning and the foundation sets the stage for the event's purpose. It establishes the goals, it creates the theme, and it involves all types of things. This is where you want to live. Dr. Viktor Frankl, psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, said the space between stimulus and response is where our power lies, right? So I'm telling you, the same holds true for event planning. The stimulus is the ideation, all right? In between the execution is where you are going to live. This is where you ask yourself, why am I doing this? Why do I want to do an event? Is this event going to pay off in spades? Is it something that we can do to really amplify what we're doing for the community? Will it have impact? Ask yourself, who will also care about this why? Why are we doing it? Essentially, you're making a mission and a vision statement for why you're doing this for your organization and why you want to do it. Who is the constituency that you're serving, and who else cares about these things? What will this event look like? What are we going to do? And how do we make it come to fruition? Visualize, as Stephen Covey said, think first with the end in mind. I'm summarizing, but this is your opportunity in the first planning and design phase to think about, what is this event really going to look like? What do you see around you upon execution? What's the atmosphere like? What do you see happening? What food are you tasting? What are people wearing? Are they wearing ball gowns, tuxedos, or are they wearing jeans, boots, and cowboy hats? Are they drinking from a champagne flute? Are they sitting quietly eating a box lunch while they're listening to a speaker and reading handouts? Or are they dancing around with beer bottles? What are they doing? This is the chance for you to really talk about it and decide, what food are they tasting? Whose hands are you shaking? Who's attending this? Who do you see attending this? Are there decision makers attending this? Are there local, municipal, county officials who are coming that would benefit from seeing how great this is? What does this look like? Think about the whole end before you even get started. Spend as much time as you can in this piece of the puzzle. Think to yourself, am I going to have this inside? Am I going to have this outside? If I have it outside and the weather's bad, do I have a plan B? Those types of things. All of these things have to come up before you can really get started. Do you need a per diem for a speaker? I'm just kind of throwing some of these things out because there are so many things that you need to think about before you even start to talk to others or to plan this event. Think of some of the best weddings and events that you have attended. Pull from those ideas. Nobody says you have to be revolutionary, right? If you're evolutionary, it's just as effective. Take the best of the things that you've attended, listen to people, ask them about some of the things that they've attended, and write those things down. Keep a folder. One other thing that I'm going to really emphasize to you today: do not be fooled into thinking that everything will be perfect. All right. Even if you spend as much time as you can in the planning phase and you're meticulous about coordination, and then the execution goes off beautifully, there might be somebody who doesn't appreciate it, and there might be an issue that happens. So I just want you to remember as I go along, I want you to remember the Japanese term wabi sabi. All right. And that is the Japanese philosophy that encourages people to appreciate the beauty of imperfection. Okay. Impermanence and simplicity. Wabi sabi is a way of viewing the world that encourages people to accept that nothing is perfect or permanent. All you can do is do your best to plan and do your absolute best in the execution. All right. So just remember that. As Malcolm Gladwell says, everything is circuitous and full of detours, right? Nothing is linear. All right. So That's the planning phase. And I do want to tell you again, the planning of events, that is where you got to live for a very, very long time. And you're always going to go back to that. Okay. If you're smart, go back to it, revisit it, be flexible in your thinking, but always have that vision in mind of what this is going to look like, who it's going to serve, all of those things. All right. So moving on to coordination. You can tell I really love clicking. I don't really. So I just want to make sure that you get the most out of this. All right. So the coordination is the meticulous organization of managing logistics, the scheduling, the vendor selection, and the communication with all stakeholders to ensure everyone is aligned. Now, as I go through, you're going to see that coordination and planning and execution and coordination all overlap because these are all, like I said, circuitous. They go in a circle. The planning, the coordination, the execution, it's all one big ball of craziness that you're going to have to dig into in order to have your successful event. This is coordinating a successful event involves essential steps. Okay, and these are it. This is it. Planning. Define your clear goals and objectives. We just talked about that. Budgeting. All right. Planning a budget is essential and critical, right? Creating a detailed budget covering all potential costs with contingencies for unexpected expenses is very important to this. We are going to talk about budgeting in one of the next slides, and I will tell you that Nick is going to provide you with this slide presentation. But in addition to that, I have put together a one-page front and back handout for you that gives you links. It gives you a budget template, all of those things, so that you can take that and you can use it if you decide that you're going to plan an event. Coordination also includes a venue selection, choosing a suitable location based on capacity, accessibility, and amenities, as well as the type of event that you're going to have. Vendor management, securing reliable vendors for catering, audiovisual, and decorations. I'm going to say this ahead of time and I'll say it again. If you're going to have something on a large scale, your best bet and your easiest bet is to use a hotel. I'm sorry, but it just is because hotels typically have sleeping rooms. They have all kinds of conference rooms. They have audiovisual. They have a chef that can prepare food, and they'll have all of the things that you need in the staffing too, because staffing can get pretty expensive. The scheduling piece of it, I am lucky that I'm in charge of several programs for MU Extension, several events, and I'm lucky that I have people in my corner who are really good at scheduling and really good at team coordination and managing, because I live in the ideation and the creative world. So it's helpful to have somebody on your team that can help you with the things that maybe you're not so strong in. Okay. Team coordination, assemble a team, assign roles, and hold regular meetings. I don't like meetings, but they're necessary for having a successful event because you've got to communicate with folks. Promotion, implement a marketing plan to drive attendance through social media, email, and other channels. Logistics management, organize on-site details. Do you need transportation? What's the seating going to look like? What are the technical requirements? Spreadsheets. One word, spreadsheets. Keep a spreadsheet of all of these things. Your budget, your logistics, your vendors, your attendees. Keep these spreadsheets because it will help you in the long run. The other thing is, and I don't know if I have it on here, but post-event evaluation, that's part of coordination. And post-event evaluation, where you gather feedback to access successes and areas of improvement for future events. These steps are really important. And the other thing is, in coordination, and I always go back to the self, all right? I'm not talking about the ego. I'm just talking about caring for yourself as the event coordinator. Try to maintain a flexible mindset. Be flexible in approaching this. Remember, wabi-sabi, it's not permanent. It's going to be imperfect, but it's going to be great, all right? Because you're in charge of it. Okay. Now, I'm showing you this because this is the promotion of my first event for MU Extension. And this was in coordination with Alan Spell and Luke Dieterle of our Exceed program. They do all the data resources and they have this wonderful workshop. This workshop is good for anyone who lives in the nonprofit organization or who works for Department of Health and Senior Services or works in some organization. I mean, this is a wonderful data workshop that shows you how to grab data. When I first started, I was like, I'm doing this program because this is going to impact my region. When I worked with them, I asked them the coordination and planning. I see this as being a roundtable workshop where we serve lunch and everybody has their laptop and et cetera, et cetera. And Alan and Luke said, yes, and this is what we need. They told me what they needed audio visually, and then we put it together and I got some funding, but then I decided I had to sell tickets. All right, that's part of your planning. Do I need to sell tickets? Yes, I did in order to cover the cost. But it was well worth it. They could only have 30 people. We sold out. We had a waiting list. This is back in 2023. And it was set up with round tables. People sat at the round tables. We had a continental breakfast when they walked in because it started at 8:30. That was the registration. And on this promotional piece, you can see that we gave them a call to action to register and we made it easy for them to register. They attended. Everything from start to finish was branded, and it was also what they expected. They expected to be taught how to get this information. They arrived, they were well fed, they were well informed, and they got to network with people. And as I said before, this is what events do, regardless of what it is. Networking is a key piece of that. This is also to remind you that when you are planning an event, whether it's educational, especially if it's educational, you also need to think about, oh, do I need to offer continuing education credits? That when you're thinking about who's going to come to it, maybe it's a person who's an accountant, they get CEUs or continuing educational credits, maybe just a CE. If they're a lawyer, they have continuing legal education. Doctors have CMEs, nurses have CNAs, something like that. So typically you will need to offer something else, which is, you get 0.8 credits for attending this. And that's worthwhile. That's worth money to these folks because that's part of promotion. So when you're promoting your event and you're thinking about who's going to attend, think about other benefits aside from just learning the curriculum. One of the things that you can do to get those, if you don't know how to get continuing education credits, talk to the person who's your speaker. Ask them, because chances are they have done this before and they know who to connect you with. Lots of associations have people that give those credits. So it's just really important to think about that too. There is a lot to think about when you're doing events. Do not be fooled. I mean, it's a very tough and fun thing to do, and it will take more than an hour for me to tell you how to create a successful event. But we're going to give you the overview. All right. There's another item that's critical to your planning phase. All right. And that is a diagram. A diagram is going to help you visualize. I don't know if you know this, but many studies say that 65% of all people are visual learners. I'm a visual and auditory learner. That's why I have a lot of movement and a lot of color and things in my slides, because it's memorable to me. And I hope it is to you. Ask for different layouts. If you go to any venue that you go to, it's going to have a general layout of the venue, of the room that you're going to use. But with most hotels, they will have different setups, different layouts, and you can ask them for them. They'll be happy to give them to you. They might not tell you who used it, but you don't care about that. You just want to see how the room is laid out.
Ashley, sorry to interrupt.
Sure.
There's a question.
Okay.
Do I have to get any sort of insurance for our event? How does that work?
Yes. So here's the thing. That was part of my planning. I skipped right over it. So you may have, when you're in the planning phase, you need to think about whether you need liquor licenses, insurance, weather insurance, event insurance, and that I am not an insurance agent, but I do know that you can go to any insurance agent. They probably offer that, and it's not incredibly expensive. It's not. But I'm also going to tell you again, if you use a hotel, a lot of that'll be eliminated for you. So just be aware of that. But yes, in the planning phases, you should think of those things too. Insurance is important, liquor licenses, all of those things to protect yourself and your attendees. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the diagram because that's pretty important. It's not only important to visualize, it's important for budgeting because let me show you this. So this is an agribusiness event that's held in Laclede County. It's a free event, but having a diagram where you can lay out where the vendors are going to be and what they're going to do throughout the venue is super important to know who all you can have there. If you have to charge your vendors for a table, for an information table, those types of things, and you can put your key vendors in key places. You'll see the yellow around the sides. That was for MU Extension because this was to highlight MU Extension agricultural programs. And then also on the left-hand side, you'll see we had wine and cheese tasting. So you want to set it up so that there's flow and there's also ease of getting from one thing to another. And there are different areas that are of interest to your attendees. When you get the diagram, now I am no graphic artist at all, as you can clearly see, but I took the diagram, I eliminated all the setup in it, and I just took it in PowerPoint and I put the circles and the squares and colored it and did all that myself. You can also do it in Canva. Canva is amazing. I can't say enough about that because it is just cut and paste and it will help you tremendously. Now, if you do this, you can see how your event's going to look. You can visualize how it's going to look. You can see how many vendors you're going to have. If this was something where the vendors had to pay, you could add that into your budget and you could present it. The budget, the planning part, and the budget, you're going to live and die by those. Okay. So over here on the right-hand side, on your right-hand side, you'll see that I've given you just a simple sample of a projected budget. Project and initiative expense. I always do this when I'm creating a budget because I don't know about most of you, but I have a board. I have extension councils in 7 counties. I also have people above me, and we use Mo codes. So we have to make sure that our budgets are right and very close to being perfect. Create a detailed budget covering all your potential costs and contingencies for unexpected expenses. This is important because if you are conducting a fundraiser, let's say, you want to know what the potential ROI is. What is the potential for me to raise? What are the funds I can raise after all of my expenses? What do we see that? If you have ticket sales, you can project that. Maybe that's ancillary and over and above the actual cost of the event, which you hope it is, but you want to keep your prices low. You want to make sure because you want to raise money, right? I have, like I said before, this is in the packet that Nick will send you, but I also have this along with many links and some things to eventbrite.com, which is fantastic to use for creating your event. It can help you a lot. And that's what you should do is just Google things, look at things, ask people about their events, get feedback. But just make sure that you have things like your venue rental, your staffing, your equipment. What is decor going to cost? Are you going to give your attendees a gift? Are you going to give them something when they go, when they leave? Are they going to get a goodie bag? Are they going to get something besides a program? Are there going to be table decorations? Those types of things. You're going to have a balloon drop. Are you going to have a backdrop? Do you need a red carpet? Do you need selfie stations? All of those things, those expenses can add up, and you've got to think about these things. Really think about them. You'll want to list all the different items for each major cost and keep track of it. Make sure that you have every single thing in this, all right? And get as close as you can to realistic goals as far as it goes. Because when you present this to your board or the other body that's approving it, you want them to buy into it, right? And if you have taken the pains to go through all of the listing things that you need in order to make this happen, chances are you're going to have more buy-in. Okay. The most important thing out of everything that you can do when you are planning an event is to focus on and have solid communication. Communication is the most critical part of event planning. Your ability to communicate your mission and vision and the benefits of the event to potential supporters is critical to the success of your event. Clear communications helps set expectations. It delegates tasks efficiently. I will tell you, I'm not the world's best delegator. I get something in my head and I'm like, I'm going to go with it. And you need to be able to delegate tasks, or you're not going to be able to be healthy and host this and enjoy the event when it's executed. Because part of being a meeting and an event planner is being able to enjoy and stand and be present at the time it's being executed and say, I've done a good job. All right. Understanding the needs and preferences of attendees when you are planning an event is vital for creating an event that resonates with them and meets your objectives. Other important aspects include budgeting, timeline. We talked about these things, and risk management, which is your insurance, where you're going to host it, all of those things. But without solid communication, these elements can falter. Take the time in your planning to craft your mission and vision statement. I've said that several times. And articulate why the event is necessary, who it benefits, and what the benefit is to the individuals whom you are seeking to sponsor or support it. And remember, presenting professional proposals to your board and the benefits to potential underwriters is crucial, because these people can also serve as your best marketing and promotion for your event, because they know people, right? Word of mouth is always the best advertising. All right. I talked about having a professional looking proposal. When I do an event, I always make sure that I have a package put together. It takes time, but it's worth it. That has the name of the event proposal and prepared for specifically who it's prepared for. If it's for the Camden County Council of MU Extension, that's who's underneath that. It's prepared by me and the date of the proposal. You do this for your decision makers and your prospective donors and sponsors, but you can also do things for the general public. Right here you see, I know a few of my colleagues are on here with me, and we're creating the Connecting Entrepreneurial Communities Conference, which is in September. And what we want to do is make sure we attract people who want to come and learn more about entrepreneurship and how it affects rural communities. And we want to impact speakers. We want speakers to participate too, and possibly get sponsors. So one of the things we have done is we have created a piece that has pictures from past events. This will be the 5th year. And we have stories. What is this about? We want you to help make a difference in Missouri's rural entrepreneurial and economic growth. Here's how you can do it. Your sponsorship is critical. Here are the things we offer. Now, this is a front and back. So the front has the logo, it's branded, it's got this information. And then the second page has more information. It has a testimonial from someone who attended before, which gives us credibility. And then it has the call to action, and that is your QR code. You need to make it easy. You're going to go to all this trouble to present this, and you want to make it easy for your sponsors and donors and people who will participate to say yes. And that's all you do is a QR code, and it'll either go to Eventbrite, or it'll go to a Qualtrics survey, or to a registration page. Make sure you have a digital registration page as well as a hard copy that they can download and submit to you. Most people know how to register online, and that's the fastest way, but some people don't. And that might be the person who writes the biggest check. So just make sure that you've got your points covered. All right. Make it easy for them to register, make it easy for them to say yes, and make it easy for them to take action. Make sure the things that you put out there publicly are professional. Use Grammarly AI to clean up your grammar. None of us are perfect, and we're just one brain. So if you have a team, if you're lucky to have a team like I am, who can look at pieces, who can contribute to pieces, who are willing to tell you when you messed up, who are willing to tell you when things are going right, and you work together, it's just priceless. It's absolutely priceless, and it'll help in the success of your promotion. The
Ashley,
other thing that,
Ashley, before
yeah,
you move on, we have 2
sure.
questions.
Okay.
The first one is, are there any general guidelines about how long it takes to plan something?
Okay. The general guideline is give yourself time. That's what I would tell you. So if you want to have, it depends on what you're doing. All right. And some of us don't have the luxury of time, but this in general, what I would tell you is give yourself a year to plan. All right. If you have something that is coming up, if you want to have something in the spring of 2026, start now. All right. Launch it. Make sure you're ready to go 6 months before it happens. If you have something that you need to do within 6 months, you need to focus on that and get it done. I have events that just came up in January that are going to be in March. I have an event that happens in April. I mean, that's just the way the cookie crumbles in the education world. But if you can plan ahead of time, plan a year out. Give yourself that space. That's the most important thing.
All right. The second question is from Village Moms. What is the difference between event, project, and sponsor proposal? Are the structures the same for all types? And what is one thing that can make or break an opportunity?
The one thing I'm gonna start with that first,
Okay.
because I've had these experiences. Okay, I think I'm considered an expert because I've experienced every single aspect. I've experienced the good, bad, and the ugly of event planning. The one thing that can break you is not knowing your audience and not speaking to your audience before you go in and not being prepared. That's all one thing. It really is. Preparedness is what you need. Make sure you know who you're going to go speak to, about what you're going to speak, and that mission in the planning phase, when you think, who is it that this would benefit and who is it who would get on board? Make sure you dot your I's and cross your T's and not otherwise. As far as the proposal, you did ask a question about the proposal. I would tell you that if you're asking for a lot of money, if this is a substantial annual fundraiser, you need to pay attention to this and you need to make sure you cover all your bases. You have testimonials, you have sort of have a budget, say this is what we plan to spend on this and this is what we need for XYZ. But we hope that the return on our investment will be $100,000, that type of thing. If you are just doing a project, an educational project, this is what I'm going to tell you. I would focus on things and make sure they're as professional as possible. It doesn't matter if it's a front and back proposal or whether it's a 10-page proposal. Just make sure you do your due diligence and know who you're going to pitch to. Does that answer the questions? Yes.
Yes, it does. Can I just mention one thing to Alicia from Village
Absolutely.
Moms? Alicia, send me an email and I'll get you the info from our fundraising and corporate sponsorship workshop. Kevin Jameson taught that class and he has great layouts for proposals that Dr. Alan Brown just went over. And so you can see those in real time and he has
Yeah.
samples that you can go off of. So,
Those are going to be really priceless.
all right, that's it. I'll let
that
you
you have
get back to it.
That's excellent. See that this is capacity building, right? We have all these different folks who can overlap and help you with everything, no matter what the subject is. So, okay. So the reason I'm showing you this really quick, and I'm not going to go into it too much because I want to answer questions in case I'm not clear on something. It's important to use when you're pitching to people, when we're talking about proposals. It's important not to just live in the data world and not just live in the story world. It's important to use a mix of both. Okay. Jennifer Aker, Dr. Jennifer Aker, who is a Stanford teacher, she's an expert in storytelling and persuasion. She explained that a class at the Wharton Business School was divided into two teams. All right. And the two teams were asked by their professor to raise money for a World Hunger Organization. They were each going to give separate presentations about the World Hunger Organization, and whoever was able to be the most persuasive would win. So each team gave their presentations separately. Team one used only data. They used facts, figures, graphs, and one color for their presentation. Team two used data, but they also presented a story about a 7-year-old girl from Africa who was facing starvation and her family was in peril because of hunger. And this is the individual and the family that World Hunger Organization helps. So they use data and story. The participants who observed these teams, these presentations, they were each given $5 in compensation for attending the presentation. And at the end of each presentation, they were asked if they wanted to donate to the World Hunger Organization. Team one, the team that used only data, averaged $1.43 per person. Team 2 averaged $2.38, which is almost double. So that tells you that using data and story is impactful for achieving your goals of getting people on board, of getting underwriters, of creating an event. This is a huge piece of it. This is an example of this is a real life example of an event that we had last year. And I kind of covered out this young lady's face, but I'm going to tell you just real quickly. We evaluated the event last year. It was focused on women and helping women do better for themselves and their families through the 8 dimensions of wellness. We thought it would just be for a Tri-County area, but when we got the evaluations back, we realized we had served women in 15 counties and 3 states. That's what we did, and we exceeded our goal in that. This young lady, let's just call her Shelly, she came to the event. She's from St. Louis. She came to the event because we chose a speaker whom she follows. We chose a speaker strategically because of her following. And Shelly came down and she said, I came down because I've been unemployed for a year. I thought this would be a good networking opportunity. And I wanted to meet people and I wanted to see so-and-so speak. So this event was in March of last year. A month after the event, Shelly called me and she said, Ashley, I just want you to know that I've been unemployed for a year. After I went to Elevate, I learned so much. I had the confidence that I went in and I got a job and I'm making more money than I've ever made in my life. My salary is bigger than it's ever been. And I attribute it to the confidence I got from going to this event. This was the purpose of the event, right? So this testimonial tells me that even though I talked to a lot of people and there, it was impactful, this spoke volumes, right? So in pitching this year's event to my board and my council, I can say, these are the things that happened. The other thing is we had a lady who was a female entrepreneur who was an exhibitor, and she picked up like, I don't know, 10 new clients. So, I mean, it really kicked it out of the ballpark. So these are all the important things, but just make sure that you collect this information so that you can build your proposals and you can have this and you can know that the things that you are doing are successful. Okay. All right, then for marketing your event, make sure you stay with your brand. The promotion, the posters, the event program, your social media videos, YouTube videos, anything like that, make sure that they maintain integrity. Your program should also reflect the theme and the logo, all of those things, so that they are people, when they see it, they recognize it. How many times have you gone to something and somebody says, I'm going to go to that agribusiness summit, and you're like, oh yeah, I heard about that on Facebook, or somebody else said that and I might go check it out. Well, that's how it happens. And again, we were talking about word of mouth. The wonderful thing about this is that because of amazing software that's available to us, that's very inexpensive and you can figure into your budget, like Canva, you can cut and paste and you can create beautiful things. You can create beautiful, worthwhile things that look good and represent you well. So you don't have to be a graphic designer to make beautiful things. The other thing is too, if you're in an organization where you are one of many people, like I am with MU Extension, there is a marketing department. Make sure that you go to your marketing department and get approved for the logo, because if you don't, there's only so many times you can ask for forgiveness. I know firsthand, because you want them to support you and you want them to help you, and they won't if you don't ask them for help. You want to maintain the integrity of the organization. All right. I'm sorry. Okay, so we talked about when we're talking about communication, we're also talking about communicating to your vendors, not just to the people who might fund it. You want to make sure that you're talking to your vendors. That's why it's so important to have a layout. Your vendors want to know where they're going to be. It doesn't have to be this descriptive. It doesn't have to be this colorful, but in the case of Elevate, we had financial, health and welfare vendors. We had beauty and wellness vendors. And I wanted to make sure they were all in different places and they weren't competing for space either, because there are a lot of nurse injectionists and we didn't want them like competing with one another for the Botox corner. So anyway, this is very important. It is, make sure your vendors know where to go. Make sure you let them know when you receive their payment. Make sure you connect with them about what time they can be there, whether you're going to feed them, if there will be anything else available to them, what they can and can't participate in, and what they can anticipate and how many attendees they can anticipate too. That really goes a long way. The other thing is, and probably the most important thing, is to remember to love your volunteers. Communicate with those volunteers. Make sure that the volunteers know what they're doing. Take the time to get to know them, know their strengths. If they come to you, I'm really bad about this. If they come to you and they say, listen, what can I do to help you? Think of something. Think of something for them to do to help you, because the more you can delegate, which is not easy, if you can delegate it, you can get it off your plate, but just make sure you have a time to follow up with them to make sure it gets done. And then let them know how much you appreciate them. It's very, very important to make sure, because they're going to be there to help you carry out the vision of your event, and make sure they know what the mission and vision is and that they have buy-in to, and make sure that they're on board too during the day of the event.
We
Okay.
got two more questions,
Okay.
Ashley.
Fantastic.
First one, what are the do's and do nots for of asking for testimonies, or how should testimonies be incorporated in proposals or annual reporting?
Okay. So proposals, I think this is probably a question for the end too, because we're going
Okay.
to talk about evaluation. No, this is good. It's good. Anytime is good, because like I said, this is circuitous, right? It's all intertwined. So it's not just one thing and then the other. When you evaluate, make sure that you put on your evaluation, if you enjoyed this event and you had a great time or something in particular stood out to you, please let us know. And then ask them for their name if they did that. And then say, can we contact you? And then when you get that back, if you have a glowing testimony, then call that person or email them, however they want to be. That's what I'm talking about here. However they want to be communicated with, and say, listen, I'm so thrilled that you had a good time. I'm so happy. Thank you so much for giving us this glowing report. Would you mind if I put your testimony into my board report? I'd love to tell other people that you had a good time. And would you mind if I use your Facebook profile? You know, if they don't have a picture, I mean, it's not official. You're just trying to make sure that they do this. The other thing is too, you can scour Facebook at the end too, which is what I did with Elevate. And if they put the hashtag Elevate, it kept popping up when I did a search, and I could find people who talked about it and what a great time they had. They may not have filled out the evaluation, but they put it on social media, and believe me, they will. So that's the best way to do it. I hope I answered that question correctly.
Yeah, sounding great.
Okay.
Next one is on vendor fees. It sounds like
Okay.
some vendors are not allowed to pay vendor fees. How do we showcase that vendor fees pay for tables and chairs, etc.?
Um, okay, so here's the thing. Most people who are vendors, they know that when they pay a fee, a table and a chair come with it, and maybe a trash can, and if you're lucky, internet access, because that doesn't always come with it. But when you are putting together your proposal for your vendors, it's the same thing that you're doing for your board. You want to outline every single thing that they're going to get. You're going to pay, let's just say randomly, $125 to participate in this 4-hour expo and summit. With this, you will get a 6-foot or 8-foot table. You will get 2 chairs. You will get 2 bottles of water. You will get a trash can. You will have internet access and electricity. That type of thing. Spell it out for them so that they know. And then they can come back to you and say, well, but what about the lunch? I want to be part of the luncheon. The luncheon is X amount of dollars. This is what you can pay. If you want to pay that, maybe you have a discounted rate. Maybe lunch is 25, and because they paid that, you'll give it to them for 20, whatever it is. Just make sure you spell it out for them and communicate what they're going to get for the price they're going to pay. If they're not able to, like a lot with MU Extension, you know, if we're doing a service and we get underwriters, then we won't charge some of the informational tables because they're a service too. You know, if they're a service to the community, I have a hard time charging for tables. But if it's a fundraiser, then by gosh, charge for the table, because their money is going to help with that too, to offset the cost so that we can fund these programs to help our constituency. Just make sure they understand that. I hope that's helpful. Okay. Dead silence. So I'm going to assume that it is. Okay. Sorry. I went back up to make sure I answered that question. Well, all right. So we're back at this communication and we're at 2:45. I'm a windy person, aren't I? All right. So this is what I want to tell you. Um, if you this is a lot of work, right? Um, and you may say to yourself that hey, listen, I'm not a salesperson. All right. Guess what? You are a salesperson. When you're planning an event and you're trying to promote an event, you are a salesperson. In fact, I'm going to date myself, but you are what the Stylistics said in a 1971 song. You are everything and everything is you. I would sing it to you, but it would sound really bad. It's a great roller skating tune. You are everything and everything is you. Just remember that. But I want you to remember that every single component of this process, just like everything in daily life, is the Japanese idiom ishigo ishie. It's a concept that encourages us to treat the unique quality of each experience as a precious treasure. So the planning, the process is as important as the product. Your interactions with every single person who's going to help you make this event a success are a unique experience and a precious treasure. Um, when you execute this event, the people who come, who care enough to attend your event, they too are a precious treasure. And if you think with this mindset, you are going to find that you have buy-in more quickly, more deeply, and you're able to get people to support you, not only in this event, but in the future as well. So, Ishigo Ishie. I love Japanese idioms. I just think they cover so many things. All right. Execution. The execution is the top of the mountain you have just climbed. I think there's a question. I see a one up there, Nick. Yes, no?
Oh, it was just a statement from someone, so no question. You're
Okay,
good.
is it a statement that we need to share with the group?
Sure, Miss Amelia. I hope I'm saying the last name Bonsing Graham. She says the information has been absolutely great and beneficial to me and my team.
Well, that makes me feel good. Thank you. Because I can't see you and I'm just here. So thank you so much. I hope it's beneficial. I try to practice Ishigo Ishie every time. I don't always succeed, but that's okay, right? Wabi sabi. All right. So what to expect during a special event? Attendees can expect several key features and experiences. Now, if you have done your due diligence at the beginning, then that execution is going to look like what you saw in your head, right? There's going to be a welcoming atmosphere. There are going to be networking opportunities. There are going to be engaging activities. People are going to be happy to be there, and you're going to stand in awe of the great thing that has happened. Um, Regardless of what your event is, whether it's a full day workshop, like on the left, where we had the demographic, economic, and workforce development, where I paid more attention to the food than I did anything else, or the right hand side, where some of you may know Mr. Neighborhood, David Burton, whom a lot of us are so lucky to work with, who hosts these Neighboring 101 lunch and learns, where participants get to eat great food, listen to a great story from him, wonderful stories, and also paint a beautiful watercolor card to give out to a neighbor. This is important. They're all important. It doesn't matter what they are or how long they are or how many people are attending. The information and resources participants receive, the materials related to the event, such as the programs, brochures, or swag bags, those help to create a lasting experience beyond just the event of that day. Thinking about when I got married at 40, okay, side note, I got married at 40. I had never, like a lot of little girls, they think, oh, my wedding day is going to be this great big thing. I just wanted to go to the Chapel of Elvis in Las Vegas because I was 40. And I was like, I just want to do this. Well, my husband was like, no, we need to do it right. And my mom and my mother-in-law were like, you need to do it right. So I said to them, it's not about the day, it's about the life. That's what I said. But the day I would do it all over again. I was urged to have a wedding. I did. And I look back on it 20 years later and I'm like, wow, I'm so glad I did that. And that's what you want to feel. You want to feel good in your heart and soul that this is what you wanted to do. Um, so Elevate, I'll show you some pictures from that. This is the experience they had. The ladies who attended, they were able to have, we made balloon arches where they had selfie stations. The ladies who spoke got flowers. There was a beautiful red carpet with magic black and gold curtains, and might have been a little cheesy, but it was fun. It was a great photo op. And then up at the top is Tish Johnson, who teaches real colors, among many other things. And she talked to 80 folks, women and men included, from different organizations, and taught them about the real colors, about how you can do better communicating by knowing yourself better. So this was a wonderful and amazing experience. And that's what you want, regardless of what it is. You just want to create an amazing experience and get buy-in. Then when you have the event, make sure you have a place for evaluation. Okay. Evaluation is king because it tells you what you did great, what you didn't do so great. You might get some testimonials out of it. And this is where I'm going to say to you, try to proceed with the event planning as an egoless entity. It's hard to hear negative things. It's so hard. But if you can look at it and couch it in the aspect of, this is going to help me grow this organization and make sure that this event is the best it can be, whether it's from volunteers, sponsors, attendees, whatever it is, take it in the manner in which it is intended to make things better, regardless of how it's delivered to you. All right. You're the receptacle and you are the one organizing this event. It's not going to be perfect, right? But it's going to be great. Make sure evaluations and surveys are easy, and make sure that if you have a speaker or you have announcements that you make during your event, you always bring this up. We would love your feedback on whether you love this event. If you love this event, give us some feedback. There's a QR code at your table. There's a QR code XY, wherever it is. Okay. Or there's a paper survey at the front desk. If you'd like to take that and turn it in, there's a self-addressed stamped envelope that you can send it in to us. So just make sure you have that, and then take that information and make sure you do something with it. Read it, respond, and make sure people know that you care. You got to care about what you're doing. Again, data, story, that's what's going to help you market your things the most. Impact. All right. Finally, I haven't covered everything I had planned to cover because I get to talk and I get really excited about it and I skip over some things, but hopefully you have gotten the gist of what event planning is about. But one of the most important things is to stay grateful and to be thankful to people and to thank them for helping you, your volunteers, your supporters, the constituents, anybody. Just say thank you. You can, if they want to be texted, you can text them. But I want to tell you something, a card with your handwriting, if it's legible, mine isn't so legible, but you can type up a letter and you can sign it and you can send it out. Snail mail is really great and very thoughtful. And just remember that nothing is perfect, but you can move forward with grace and intention, and you can create something that's really wonderful for everyone involved. So lastly, I'll just cinch it all up, okay? Because we're getting out of time, aren't we, Nick? All right.
7 minutes.
Stay organized, be flexible and adaptable, build those relationships with people, recognize strengths in board members and volunteers, love your volunteers, and remember to thank supporters and volunteers. Most of all, stay organized, create those spreadsheets, learn from mistakes, and move forward with grace. It's a lot, but it's like synchronized swimming. When it all comes together, it's a beautiful thing. Just like synchronized swimming. And like I said, feedback is important. And I'm a tough cookie. I'm a Teflon monster, but I want you to give me feedback. So here's a QR code. If you would please take the time to fill this out. It's just 3 questions. I appreciate the feedback. There's a box where you can give narrative feedback too. So thank you so much. And I'm happy to take your questions if we've got a few minutes. What do you think, Nick?
Yeah. Yes, we have definitely. If you have questions, either put them in the Q&A or the chat. It looks like, is there one question, is there a template for all of this that can be shared? I used to use one, but it was quite a while back. That's all in the slideshow that we're going to share, correct?
Yes, it
Okay.
is. And also there's another page that I sent you. It's a front and back. It's got links and
Yep.
templates and everything. I tried to think of everything you might need after this. So Nick will send that out to you.
Yep. I
Yes, I'm
see one
budgeting.
person says that they don't receive the emails with the resources. My suggestion would be add my email address, which I'll put in the chat here. It's Nick at Mo Humanities. Add it. .org. Add this to your contacts, and it should not block my emails or send them to spam. Sometimes because they have PDFs and multiple links in them, your email server will send it to spam. So if you have my email address in your contacts, it'll know that it's a good email. Let's see,
There's
another
another
question. Yeah, another question from Village Moms.
Mhm.
How do you engage new sponsors that may not know your work?
Get out and talk to people about it. Know your mission, know your vision, spend time planning, and then get out there, talk to Rotary, talk to any group, talk to church groups, anybody you can talk to about it. You've got to put yourself out there and just get it on social media, get people to spread the word.
All right, and then there was one here. I lost it. Sorry. What is a reasonable amount to request if this is a new sponsor or donor?
I think in sales, they say the first one who talks loses, but I think that what you need to do is think about what you need. Okay. And you don't have to talk dollars and cents. You can just say, is this a project that interests you? Do you think you could get on board with this? And you can say, we really need to raise this amount of money. What could you do to help us? I mean, honestly, put it on them. Just say, this is what we'd like for you to do. Okay, so Tish put something in there, and Tish always has a wealth of knowledge. So engage new donors, use existing, what did you say? Use existing connections and build a relationship with the potential donors. Yes, relationships. This is a relationship business. It absolutely is.
Awesome.
What else?
We got about 3 more minutes if anyone has any questions or comments.
I know this is a lot. But it's a lot to create a great event, but it's so worthwhile. And when you see your attendees and the things that happen, and then people, tell you, Tish has got more. We should have kept Tish's microphone on.
Tish says, #1 rule of donations, people give because they were asked. So yeah, I like that. If you don't ask, what's the worst that can happen? They'll say no. So,
and if they say no, that doesn't mean no forever. It just means not right now.
Yeah.
Seriously. Just think about it. And if they say, come back, have it and then come back, I might buy a ticket, say, okay, fantastic.
For sure. All right. Well, I don't see any other questions popping up. So I want to thank Dr. Alan Brown for presenting today. It was an awesome presentation and a lot of amazing information. Next month on Tuesday, March 4th, again on the first Tuesday at 2 p.m. will be our final capacity workshop for this series. It'll be on community conversations. As always, if you've registered for today's workshop, you're already registered for the following session. If anybody has questions, you have my email. Please reach out. I will be sending an email right after this with the link to our survey at Missouri Humanities. If you could please fill that out for us. It just lets us know what we're doing right and what we can do better. It'll also have those resources that Dr. Alan Brown provided. And then later, probably tomorrow morning, keep an eye out. I will send out that recording. Also, if you go to our YouTube channel for Missouri Humanities, all of the previous capacity building workshops are posted on that channel for you to view. But without, I think that's it. So everybody have a great afternoon, and thank you for joining us today.
Thanks so much.